Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. I'm Amy Shannon, but you can call me Amy. Thank you for listening. Hello and welcome, and I hope all is well with you. I'm Amy, and today I'm talking about the connections between authors and readers. Um, when you think about the past with prior to the new digital age or technology changes, um, some may not think about what it was like prior to the internet. Or even when the internet started, it wasn't as vast as it is now. They called it the World Wide Web. That's where the www comes from. Now they add the HTTP or HTTPS to websites, and they're not just .coms, they're .edu, they're .org, they're .us, or whatever. Those are just kind of examples. Um, when before that, the connections between authors and readers were few and far between. I mean, maybe a reader might say, write a actual handwritten letter to their favorite author, and it could go into this huge mail bag, sitting in some publisher's mailroom, um, or they might be lucky to buy a spot if the author had a book signing, and see the author up front and personal, by doing having a book signing. And um, if the author is very famous, then you actually had to buy a spot, and you were not guaranteed that if you showed up and bought their book that they would actually uh, sign it. And there are some connections. um, People would read reviews that were written in magazines or newspapers, maybe trying to figure out what the next best read for them would be. They would hear advertisements or um, browse local bookstores or local libraries to see what was coming out. And now you can just go to your favorite web browser and boom, you type in the author's name and it'll tell you all the books, tell you the books in order. Um, and with that growth of technology, you are actually able to have some type of connection with, say, your favorite author or your readers, because we have social media. Now, I'm not saying that famous authors, if you send them a message on Facebook or X or something like that, that they would actually get back to you. Um, but there are times when you might find um, an author, and um, and they actually will respond back to you. And that's one of the things that I find that is extremely important. Um, when I think about myself, I think about myself as an author, um, more like a storyteller. I, you know, I, um, I promote more for the authors who contact me than for my own work. So, even when you know, if I get a note saying, "Oh, hi, I loved your book," or whatever, that for me is payment enough. I mean, I'm not gonna become uh, some famous celebrity uh, author. Um, People know me more for my reviews, and that's fine because that is an outlet where it has opened up a lot of connections, and even if they're just virtual or digital friendships with other people, other authors, other readers, publishers, uh, the networking that I can have worked very hard for. It's one of those things that is really it's just in it's invaluable because I can have that and also help authors. Um, I had planned on making all these changes to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews, and then I just realized that um, it was more for me and not the authors. And that's what I do this for, the authors, why I read and review their work. I find, but I also get something out of it. Uh, if somebody says thank you, that really it touches my heart to take the time, just even if it's just a quick email saying, "Oh, thank you so much, you made my day." I've had people say, "Oh, you know what? I was just about to throw my computer out the window," or something like that, and I got your note about the review, and you just made my day. Sometimes you just get those things at the right moment and you don't even realize it until it happens. And I think that um, authors in general want to be able to connect with their readers. They want to gain more of an audience. They want to increase their book sales. They need to figure out how to promote their work, how to get it out in front of people. And that's one of the things that can be very difficult, even on social media. You have to be very careful about how you present your promotions. You don't want to just say, buy my book, constantly, because then people just start, oh, she's writing about her book again. She wants us to buy it. And then, kind of move on. But the important part of connecting with readers and gaining more readers, is still, I call it word of mouth, but it could be actual word of mouth where people are sitting, in a library. They have a book club and they introduce a new book to the book club. And now you could, if you're an indie author, or any kind of author, you could be invited to join in the book club, um, or book discussions. There's groups on different social medias about, different books, and some are just there to promote their particular book, and then others are there to help lift up authors and not tear them down. And yes, there are those others on the other side that want to tear down anybody that is not them, um, thinks that any author is a competition for them, and um, or they're the kind of person that will ask for critiques um, or thoughts, but then when they get them, if they're not positive, they just kind of like shut it out and say, "No, this is my work. It's good." I mean, to be honest, as a writer, and when I write, there's a point where you have to say, "Okay, I'm done." um, and that just, that's not always easy. It's like, oh, it could be better here, it could be better there. But how many times did you rewrite the same sentence, or how many times did you go through how many drafts did you create? But back to connections with authors. A while ago, I bought this, I was given this book by my father. My father and I, well, my father is in a memory care facility now. He has progressive dementia. Um, but when uh, years ago when we've always we weren't always close, but then we got to a point where we had a great adult relationship and we could discuss books and music and current events. Uh, so and then I would help out my dad whenever I could. And that was one thing, he loved nonfiction books. It was, and he loves poetry, and his favorite poet is Robert Burns. And I remember that he had given me this piece of paper a long time ago when I was a kid, and it had um, Robert Burns' poem, My Love's Like a Red, Red, Red Rose. And um, and I used to write a lot of poetry as a kid, so I got to really embrace other poets. And but going back to my relationship with my dad, um, we bonded over literature and music, and and one of our things was we would trade books, we would trade vinyl albums, um, and this was before vinyl kind of came back. But yes, that's what we did. And my father had given me this book, and it was called Dead Presidents by Brady Carlson. And I read through the book, and I just loved it. And then I had given it back to my dad. And then I'm like, I was like, can I have that book back? I want to read it again. And it's a nonfiction book about what happens to presidents after they die. Um, and I recommend that book. It was like one of those books. And then I saw that on Mr. Carlson's website that you could actually order the book autographed. So I did that. And so I have the copy my dad gave me, and I have the signed copy that I bought. But I sent an email to Mr. Carlson and letting him know that I enjoyed his book so much. It was, what I liked about it, all this information on it. And he actually wrote me back. And it was just, an email. Um, but he took the time to thank me for letting him know that I liked his work. And what I liked about not just the stories was that he went on this journey of research and this physical journey of going to these places to learn more about um, what happens to a president after he passes away. And, even down to those that have been, assassinated, and maybe some of their information or some of their um, I don't want to say like bodies or whatever, but there is what is it, the National Medicine or Natural Medicine Museum, where it will display things like pieces of Abraham Lincoln's skull, a president, and where it just I can't think of his name, but they have a piece of his spine with a bullet still in it. Some other interesting things, and it's not as morbid as you would think it was. It's actually kind of interesting. Always wanted to go there, but probably that'll never happen. Um, but anyways, my connection with my dad led me to uh, writing to Mr. Carlson, and um, I subscribed to his website and things like that recently. And it was a big thrill for me saying, oh my God, this author actually wrote me back. I mean, I've written to James Patterson a few times and no answer. I mean, not even from an assistant saying thank you for your note. Sorry, Mr. Patterson. Not just there to throw you under the bus. You know, but recently I read the book A Child Called It, and it was on my banned book to read list that I had. And after I read it, I realized that there were three other books that come after it. So I bought those. I still have to read them. But I sent a note to, I went to Mr. Peltzer's office, excuse me, website, and you could, you know, and I got an email address for him. So I, I sent him a note and I sent a copy of the review and I just wanted to let him know that, I admired the fact that he actually was able to share those painful memories and with others and put them on paper and tell the world about his terrible mother. And and I do recommend that if you haven't read it, you should read it. But anyways, I sent a copy of my review, and I've done this before. To famous people. When I read Michelle Obama's book, I went to their website and I sent an email with a copy of my review. And of course, I wasn't expecting anything back, and I didn't get anything back. So that's, but just the fact that when, I got an answer back from Mr. Peltzer's assistant and um, saying that, you know, it was not like a form letter. They specifically talked about responded to some things that I had written in my email. And just the fact that I got a response back, it just, that wasn't like, thank you for your comments. That, you know, it felt really good that I was able to tell this author what I thought about his work. And it's not, and that he responded back. When I write reviews and send them to authors, seven, seven out of 10 authors will respond back with thank you. The other three, sometimes I don't hear anything. The thank yous are what keeps me going and makes my day. And, I don't get paid for writing reviews. I get donations, and those help me because it takes me longer to do that now. And I can also buy more books or more coffee or whatever. But when you think about your connections with um, when a reader, and it doesn't matter if it's a reviewer like me or just a reader of a book, because sometimes that's all I am. I buy other books and read them. Um, I have a pile of books next to my bed uh, so I can read. Um, and of course, I have a Kindle full of books and computer files full of books to read. And my real library bookshelf where I place the books that authors send to me and the ones that I have bought and waiting to be read or have already been read. So, um, if you're an author and a reader reaches out to you, respond. It'll make their day. And even if it's like, oh, thank you for reading my book. Oh, by the way, did you know I have another book coming out? Something like that. Um, so, if you're a reader, don't be shy about reaching out to your favorite authors, telling them what you thought about their book, asking questions. Not, I can't say that everybody will respond back to you, but it is actually, I find it's worth the effort of just, filling out their contact form, sending an email. If you like handwritten letters, you could find a way to um, you send it to your favorite author. Usually they do it through their publicists, agents, or their publishers, depending on who is their main representative. Um, but, so let your favorite authors know how you feel about their work. And authors, when a reader tells you that they love your work, say thank you at least. So, if you're an author who wants to be on the show, or you just want your book to be on the show, go to amy'sbookshelfreviews.com/podcast for more information. This has been Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Thank you for listening. And always be kind and stay safe. Thank you. If you're an author and you want your book reviewed, you can also go to amy'sbookshelfreviews.com for more information. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.